Okay, we should be live. This is my 8th live stream. The day is July 9th, I believe. Who even knows? It's summer. Doesn't really matter. All right. Let me know if you can see the cameras well, if you can hear me okay. If you can, give me a thumbs up. Just let me know. Would appreciate that. We are live. It's Tuesday evening, 7:30 p.m. here in the western part of the U.S. My name is Jason, and I've got the Hornet sitting here working on the Hasegawa FA-18C 48 scale. Gonna check some settings here, make sure we're all good to go. All right. Hope everybody's doing okay. All right. All right. Thank you very much, guys. I see you there. Okay. Cool. All right. Bear with me for 1 second here. Close that window. All right. Great. All right. So the Hasegawa Hornet FA-18C going well. I got a lot done since my previous video. Certainly a lot done since the previous live stream. Got the decals on, did a flat coat, did a wash before all of that, and then started to put pieces together. The main wheel struts and the front wheel strut is on, the wheels are on, the doors. I spent a good amount of time yesterday working on those doors, getting them correct. They're pretty finicky, but you know, name me a kit that doesn't have finicky parts. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it at this point. It's feeling like it's going in the right direction. Today I was working on weathering the fuel tanks. Here's one example. If you look closely, you can see some scratches that I added in there. That's a pretty common weathering effect for these things, so I wanted to go with it. And then here's the center line tank. See if get in the light here. Yeah. They're not as, they're pretty, as far as tanks go, I think they're pretty tame. I was considering having one just kind of go real crazy with the weathering. I think I'll still do that. At this point, all three of them look pretty much the same. And I figure this one has the VFA-81 numeral on it. And so I figured this was, you know, going to be with the tank regularly, but then I just kind of wanted to take one of the wing tanks and just kind of make it look like it was, you know, from a different aircraft or something. So we'll see. We'll see what I decide to do. And then add a little bit of silver on the tips here just to have them be a little bit worn. I try to not go too crazy on that, though. I don't think that these things wear out. As far as chipping is concerned, I don't think they wear out that much. But anyway, yeah. Pretty happy. The silvering, not a lot of silvering on the vehicle so far. I think I did a pretty decent job. If there is any silvering at this point, I can certainly cover it up with oils or other ways. But really at this point, what's left, you know, as you can see, are things with the canopy and the cockpit. Got to get the windshield on. Put the seat in, which I have here. And I'm having a little bit of fit issues with it. So I'm going to have to kind of fuss with it, maybe shave it down just a little bit. It's not terrible. It basically, what I was doing was placing the canopy on top, and I just feel like it's touching the canopy a little too much. Now the canopy will be up, so maybe it's not such a great concern, but I didn't want it to be, noticeable that it's too high. So we'll see. We'll see what I have to do. Take that out for now. And then really the next big step is to start what's called sometimes oil rendering, where I do a lot more weathering with just the oils. Also got the FOD covers on today. Okay, these were made with this sort of plumbing tape, this Teflon tape. And I watched a great video about how another guy did it. He did it, in fact, for an F-18 as well. Except he brush painted on them, and I decided to use the airbrush. And basically, you just take a strip of the tape, lay it on a piece of paper, and he was just brush painting it. And I thought it looked okay, but when I tried it, there were streaks, and I didn't want to just sit there and keep doing layers and layers and layers. So I decided to airbrush it, and in order for the tape to stay on the paper, I actually needed it to be taped. So I taped the ends down, airbrushed it, and then it worked out really well. I'm actually quite pleased with how they went on. Cutting this was a little tricky. The guy in the video recommends just sort of slicing them with a knife, but this has a curvature to it, and I really wanted to, so I had to use scissors to kind of go for it, but it didn't take turns really well, so I had to kind of cut a line here, cut a line here, cut a line here, and then sort of trim off the little angles that occurred. I think it did all right. I'm happy with it. So, and then I've got the FOD covers on the back, which I had before. They're painted now. And for these, I used basically a 2-part putty. And I think they turned out okay. I'm going to put handles on those on the back, these sort of fabric handles, and then no handles on the front. I was thinking about putting the squadron emblem on the FOD covers on the front, but I think putting decals on this tape at this point is going to cause a lot more problems than it's worth. So, all right. Welcome, everyone. Good to see you. Model Tank Guy, Connor, Amonger. Awesome. Welcome. So, yeah, that's where we're at so far. So I think today what I'd like to do is work on some of the highlighting on the black here, on the rear section of the cockpit. And I'm going to use oils for that. And got my oil brushes out today. Trying to think of which one I want to use for dry brushing. This might work all right. Yeah, I think that'll work. So I'm just going to get started here. Got some cardboard. A lot of modelers like to use cardboard as just sort of a palette. And really the idea is that it soaks up the linseed oil and allows the oil paints to dry a little bit faster. So let's do that. If I left this here for about 20 minutes or so, we may see by the end of the live stream, what happens is the linseed oil soaks into the cardboard, and you see a nice big puddle sort of around it, soaked in the cardboard. So I'm not too concerned about that, getting the linseed oil out, but I like using it as a palette anyway, and it's very easy for us to get cardboard over here. So yeah. All right. Try to line some stuff up here. And for this, I'm just gonna take mostly white, a little bit of black, and just keep adding a little bit more black as I go. Ugh, did a lot there. I'm trying to get essentially one shade lighter, or I would say a few shades lighter than the NATO black here I have here. For 48 scale, I don't like to use straight up black unless it's for things like tires, or sometimes there are rubber sections on ejection seats, and then it's appropriate. But I like to pretty much all the time go with NATO black. It's that scale effect idea. All right. I'm also going to get a paper towel. Now I got the paint on the brush. I'm going to work a bunch of it off. That's actually pretty good. All right. So I'm going to go sort of in one direction first. Trying to catch the high points. Well, let's just do this. We'll go this direction. Yep. It's doing it. I don't know if you can see, but these little pieces right here are catching it. Okay, start in one direction. Not bad. Now I'm going to go the other direction. Yet another direction. All right. I prefer using oil paints for dry brushing. I feel like when I use acrylic paint, it just dries so quick on the brush. Oil paints, you know, their real benefit is that they take a long time to dry. And so that's a real plus, I think, for dry brushing. Highlighting. In different directions. That's working okay. I could probably go one shade lighter, maybe. I might just leave it here. It's really pretty clean still though, right? So I'm not trying to weather with this specifically. I'm just trying to bring out just trying to what was it? Sorry, reading the chat here. Just trying to bring out the smaller details. All right, let's see what's going on in the chat here. Oh, Mac, hey, man. Right on, good to see you. Welcome. Yes, I did let you in my house to see fireworks. Welcome. All right, cool. All right. So, I think that'll work. Again, I'm not really trying to do much weathering yet. why don't we do a little weathering now? Specifically trying to maybe change, sort of break up the monotony of the black a little bit, okay? Let's see here. I wonder if a little bit of burnt umber might help. If I sort of put it in a, mix it with a gray. Let me go ahead and just add a little bit here. All right, so now I'm going to go for a gray color. A lighter gray, I think, than the highlight itself. Okay. So you can already see the puddle forming here. The linseed oil is getting soaked up. All right, I'm going to add a little bit of brown. Or a lot of brown. All right, so now I'm just going to drop this sort of in random places. Okay, and I'm just trying to break up the monotony. I'm just creating little shapes. And you might think, oh, he's messing it up. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to blend it, and it'll be much more subtle. Okay. Add a little more white. You can do pile maybe. Okay, just a little bit. Yeah. The more dramatic you go with the color, the more dramatic you are, the less I like to use. All right, I think that'll work. Okay, so now I'm just going to get another brush, and I'll just use this one to blend. These brushes are purely for working with oils. These are not my nice brushes. Okay. Try to start with the first one that I did. And I'm just trying to blend a little bit. And I could, how do I say, there's a hard edge to each of these colors. And what I'm trying to do is essentially soften up the edges. Okay. And you'll notice on this one's really, I'm liking this one a lot here. Let's see. Zoom in. There we go. This one worked its way up the top here. Some of these look like, I just put spots there and I started blending them. So I want to make sure that they look a little more natural. I can also kind of back out and reduce these or remove them if I need to, if I made a mistake. I'm also going to try to connect them too. By connecting them, that's how you get them to look realistic, I think. All right, if they're just these separate little islands, then it looks unrealistic. So this is the same sort of effect I'm going to apply all over the vehicle. By the way, I use the term vehicle for aircraft in one video. A guy commented, he said, hey, aircraft it's not a vehicle. I'm like, yeah, it is. So give me a thumbs up if you agree that an aircraft or a helicopter are vehicles. I said it's not a motor vehicle. I agree with you there, but it's a vehicle. Anyway. Thumbs down if you disagree with me. That's all right, too. All right. It's looking okay. Still looks a little bit pointillistic, if you will. Arnell, hey, man. Hayashi's Scale Aircraft Models. Is that a book or a video? Or I might have come across it. It doesn't sound familiar, though. Give me more information, Arnell. Call them birds. Yeah, that's fair. Birds works, too. Oh, there's a bit of an echo. Okay, I can probably fix that, Mac. Hang on one second, bud. If you lose my audio, everybody give me a thumbs down, okay? Give me 1 second here. All right, is this better? Let me know if it's better, Mac, and then everybody else give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. You guys hear me okay? Thumbs up. Okay. Oh, good. That works. Great. Next. YouTube channel as well. Okay. I might have come across him, but I don't know that I recognize the name. But I will definitely check it out. Vehicle is transporting people or goods. Interesting. Look into that. Okay. Oh, it sounds worse now. Now it's muffled. Oh, no. Okay, hang on. How about now? Is the audio better now? Are you able to hear me? Understood, Mac. Are you able to hear me now? Let me know if you guys are able to hear me. Can you guys hear me okay? Oh, it's better. Yes. Great. All right. All right. So I'm gonna take, yeah, I kind of went boom, boom, boom. So there's a difference between random, right, and symmetrical. So what I did here was I was symmetrical. And I think this is what I need to snowball. Well, I've got this mic here. Is this what you're referring to or something else? And this one is the one that seems to be, well, you know, yeah. When I just clicked onto this mic here, the lapel mic, it didn't seem to be good. So I think my camera is picking up the audio that you're liking right now. But if I need some other mic, let me know. Maybe that's my next purchase. Oh, speaking of purchase, let's transition. All right. I'm going to show you guys what I got. This is a, I don't know, should I say vehicle? This is a model. Oh, hang on 1 second. Sorry. There we go. All right, bringing my stack of stuff over here. All right, this is a model of a helicopter that I've wanted to build for a long time. It has a very, very special place in my heart ever since being a kid and getting the monogram version of this helicopter. I've been obsessed with it. And in my adult years, I wanted to build one. And so I finally broke down and got it. All right, so let's start off with, things are falling over. Okay, start off with the book. Here we go. All right, so the Mi-24 attack helicopter. There we go. Got this book. This is by Michael Norman. It's excellent. It didn't have photos of what I was looking for, but it's a really, really good read. A lot about the history and the manufacturing of the helicopter. And ta-da! Ew, it's not going to be able to be seen in the camera. Okay, let's do it here. Ready? There we go. The Zvezda 1/48 scale. There we go. Mi-24. Okay. Crowded in here. Very, very excited. The question for me always was, do I do the V version or the P version? And ultimately decided to do the V version. I had this book for a while, because actually for years now. And then I looked at the V version. I was like, well, I'm going to get that. And then I was like, oh, the W, well, it's not going to be exactly the same, but that's all right. But then I found out that the W is labeled W because in Poland, there is no V. So then this is actually a V aircraft. But anyway, yeah, this is the lock-on Verlinden publications of the Mi-24. So yeah, this is, I'm with you, Model Tank Guy. This is a nice one. So a couple things about it, and I just want to talk about kind of how I'm going to attack this one. This may actually be the next thing that I build. I'm that stoked about it. I've got a lot to build at this point. I really shouldn't have bought something else, but I couldn't resist. All right, so I got some res kit stuff to go with it. I'll show you in a second here as well. All right, so I picked this one. I don't like the essentially they're dust covers that are on the exhausts. Just not a fan of them. I love the look of the Hind D, with just the, well, then without the covers on them, right? Just that sort of standard open tube. I knew that I wanted one with the cannon in front. There is the P version has the cannon on the side. And then I really want to do Russian, preferably Afghanistan. Again, this is why they're going to put the dust covers on, because they were needed for Afghanistan. But I was hoping to do one just kind of early enough. And then I was really hoping for a vehicle that, yes, has this camo scheme, these shapes, but is not the green one. There's a brown one out there somewhere. Now, oh yeah, Red Dawn movie, yep. Right on, Arnell. The brown, the tan, and the sand in the brown ones are the ones that for nostalgic reasons, for the monogram box art reasons. Those are the ones I'm going for. So I've got 2 books on the way. One of them is an early Squadron book, and I'm hoping that there are references in there for a Russian version with the brown, the darker brown, and the tan color, and the light blue. That's what I'm looking for. Now, what's neat about the V is that there's all kinds of different color schemes for these. This was the most common version of the Hind, and quite superior actually in many ways to the D version. Now, if I built the Hind D version, I'm going to have an easy time finding those schemes and find them without the dust covers. But you can see here they do offer the paint version. So there's two options I can do. One without the covers and one with. And there's also, of course, versions with opening everything up or keeping everything closed. Now I'm going to keep everything closed except for the canopy side windows. I'm going to open those up because I do want to do a really nice interior. And so I've got the res kit with Quinta Studio 3D decals. So this is intense. We got, of course, the 3D decals here. And this is just, these are one of those, 2 cockpits, where you want it to look, I think, I want it to look as complex as possible because that's how the thing really, really looks. Yeah, thank you, Mac. How's it going, bud? All right, and then it comes with a photo etch. This looks pretty nice, and then the actual cockpit resin parts. So let's take a look here. So we'll dig that puppy out. All these pieces. I mean, just a whole bunch in here. Got the rear bulkhead, everything. Okay, so this is going to be a lot of fun. This will be a model on itself. Like I've got to literally. Oh, thanks, Mac. I appreciate that, bud. That is really awesome. Yeah, this will be a model onto itself. So there'll be at least a video or two on just this kit alone. Anyway, that's where we're at with that. Looking forward to it. Yeah. Hind. All right. Let's get back to the Hornet. All right. Yeah, when they get those two books in, I'll really, hopefully there'll be some sort of, some reference photos for that darker brown. I've looked all over online for photos of that darker brown version. I can't seem to find it. I'm wondering if maybe Monogram just got it wrong. They looked at a green one and maybe it was a black and white photo and they thought, oh, well, it's got to be dark brown. I don't know. That's entirely possible too. I was also considering there is a set for backdating the V to a D. Because Zvezda only offers the V and the P, and I think there's like an MI35, which is an even more updated version. And I found that Trumpeter does a D, but I don't know. I've had some bad luck with Trumpeter kits just in general, so I wanted to avoid that altogether. I really like Zvezda. I have their SU-25 that I finished. I absolutely loved it. The only problem there were the wheel struts were a pain in the butt. But yeah, so I went with the Zvezda. I'm not going to backdate it, but I'm going to try to find something that has all of those parameters if I can. And if I can't, then it's like, okay, might just have to go with the green, but at least everything else is the way that I imagine it. Or if I find the brown, but it has to have dust covers, then okay, I'll go with that, you know. All right. So I'm liking how this is looking back here. There are other things I can do as well. I mixed a brown with some of them. I can go with just straight brown. I can also mix in some other colors, like some blues. Blues break up a black color really, really well as well. But I think I'll wait there for now. Okay. Let me know in the chat what you guys are working on. Yeah, Connor, it was tricky. The MI24 kits, like I was looking on ScaleMates, and I think the only places that had them were the companies in Europe and Russia and stuff. And I'm trying to avoid those as best as I can. You think it's in the Squadron Action book? Cool. Okay, that's the one I've got coming. I was really hoping, because there has to be somewhere that Monogram got those colors from. I'm guessing. And it's probably a D. But I understand that the D and the V were made at the same time. The V was, once they started making the Ds and noticing problems, they started upgrading the Vs as they were being pushed out. And then they also took some Ds and actually upgraded them in the field, essentially. Oh yeah, I saw your Ukraine truck there, Model Tank Guy. Yeah, that was awesome. And the trailer and the Razor Crest. Wow. Oh, I did see photos of the Razor Crest as well. Yeah, nice job, man. What a good feeling. It's good to get them actually done. That's awesome. Yeah. But yeah, Arnell, let's yeah, I'm interested. So if it is just a D version, I'm just going to go ahead and use the V and just paint it with the same camo. I'm not going to worry about it at that point. I think the only real differences are, I'm trying to remember exactly now. I don't think they're real noticeable external differences. So I think it was just mostly having to do with the maybe the layout of the instrument panel. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to worry about it though at this point. And I might just end up doing a fictitious one, right? If I can't find one with like the number, if there's like a Hind D, let's say, and it has the camo that I want, and it's like number 05 or 03 or whatever, then I'll just go, okay, here's my V with 06, and then it just becomes a fictitious one that is likely, right? I like to do that. I like to have a specific vehicle that I'm trying to build, and if I can't, I like to take a really, really good, guess, and hope that I'm close. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. I don't know that I wanted to start digging into oil rendering just yet. But, you know what I can do? Okay. I'm going to do a little bit of oil rendering around the wheel well, not the wheel wells, but the struts. Let's do that. I need to do a little bit of weathering. It's not even really oil rendering at this point. It's just straight chipping effect. So I'm going to take... I'm trying to remember. I've seen chips on these pieces, on these struts with a little bit of black. Really, really light though. I think what I don't want to do is necessarily dry brush over. I think I actually want to just pick out specific little dots, and I think that's gonna be the best way to go, the most realistic. All right, so I'm gonna make sure what I'm doing here. Take my brush, lay it flat, and then kind of drag it. Okay, and this is going to allow me to sort of pinpoint with like these lines, and I'm going to make those lines on the wheel struts. Let's try that. I'm going to keep this over here, and I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see. That'll work. Focus isn't super great, but let's see. Give me a second. Okay, let me adjust the light a little bit, see if it helps. Almost. Yeah, it doesn't really help, does it? All right, well, take a look here, see if there's something I can do. Ah, Arnell. Nice, man. Ravel monogram. Huey Hog. Oh, I built that one. The Apache and the Cobra. Very freaking cool. That is awesome. Just do all three at the same time. All right, I'll tell you what. Let me zooming out doesn't even help either. Wow, that gets real freaking close. There is a setting on here that I need, and I'm not quite sure which one it is. Bear with me for a second. There we go. There we go. All right. That'll work. All right. Thanks for the patience, everyone. Get my chair in the right spot. All right. Affirmative. Reminds me of Aliens. When she goes, affirmative. All right. Oh, I didn't want to say also for the resin, I got a better mask. I'm not sure if I showed you guys before, but yeah, it's a mask I prefer using now. I had a mask before. Also had that face guard, and it was really, really hard to work with that. So this one's much better. It's just for breathing. All right, let's see here. Gonna kind of start here in the corner, and I want to draw down in order to get to show from the bottom here. Yeah, just a little bit. I'm not sure if you can see it. That's all that well. Try not to blend. Try to just keep them sharp. I also don't want to go crazy. It's my understanding that these Navy aircraft, as beat up as they get, they have very kind of strict rules about, letting the vehicles get out of shape. But I imagine there's only so much you can do to deal with chipping. All right, it's a little bit. I do also have other connectors for the struts. They're sort of door actuators, and they didn't really get the same kind of weathering treatment that the rest of the struts did. Very late, I was like, oh crap, I forgot to paint those. So I airbrushed them. I don't even think I put gloss on them. I might have put gloss on them, and then that was it. I didn't do any sort of washes or anything. So I'm gonna bang them up a little bit on the inside as well, so they kind of match the rest of the vehicle here. All right. I'm not sure if you can see these okay or not, but yeah, they're hidden in here. Just bear with me. I'm just gonna get them on while I'm at it. Able to really show you. All right, I'm happy with that. There's one in the front here I should get while I'm at it. gonna work. Israeli age 64. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Those big old 35th scale ones, huh? When they came out, I think it was it this last Christmas? Or maybe it was the year before. I mean, I was so tempted to get one. So tempted. I really want to build one at 48. I feel like 35 is going to just take up so much room. And I also want to build an earlier one. I think at least one of the kits offer. Maybe you can answer this for me, Connor. Oh, you're doing the tackle one. Cool. I like the Apache, the earlier Apache, without that big old radar on top of the blades, so on top of the rotor. So I'm wondering if in the TACM kit you can do one of the earlier versions. Let me know. I'd appreciate that. I've been meaning to go on ScaleMates and take a look at the instruction sheets. Not that I need to buy anything new. All right, good, this will work. This is working. And I'm really just trying to keep these chips right at the edge. In my references, that's where they usually are. All right. I have to remind myself not to brush it. These are glossy, so they blend really, really easily. 64 is the only one that has the radar on top, I believe. Or the D. Okay. All right. That's good to know. Yeah. I never liked the look of that. I know. They're updated to like save lives and all that, but I don't know. There's a real aesthetic aspect to all these for me. Again, why I'm so picky about the Hind colors, it's like if I can't kind of meet all these parameters, then it's not going to bring me sort of the same kind of joy that I'm looking for. Very picky. All right, these are a little too thick. Maybe I'm not going to worry about it. All right. Anybody see any good movies lately? I was watching Maximum Overdrive last night. Emilio Estevez is in it. A couple of other folks. Written, directed, and produced by Stephen King, who I really like as an author. But boy, that was a terrible movie. And it wasn't like, oh, this is so terrible, it's good. It was like, wow, it's really bad. I was having a hard time understanding exactly what each of the characters, what their understanding of the situation was. It was really bizarre. Yeah. You loved it. Oh, no. Well, look. Okay. I'm going to give it this. The scenarios in which people were being killed was pretty clever, right? And this is what we expect from a horror movie. But I just found it like there was a moment where these, if you haven't seen it, sorry, spoiler alert, but you know, it's been enough time at this point. These machines are killing people, and there's this group of people who are like becoming aware of the situation, but at no point do they like talk with each other about it. And then all of a sudden, this one scene, it's like, oh, everybody now is kind of aware of it, but at no point did anybody confer with anybody. Did we discuss it? It's just so like, it's convoluted, and I feel like the editing. I feel like there are like edits where there are shots where they're in the wrong sequence. So I feel like he didn't storyboard or storyboarded but didn't think about the flow of things, which is really weird because somebody like Stephen King is gonna like have a system for doing that because he has to do that in his own novels, right? And I felt like the movie was not storyboarded and just not really, I don't know. Yeah, pre-AI. Yeah, I was watching it and I was like, well, some of this is definitely relevant to today. And you know, it's a really great premise. Definitely like perfect horror movie idea, right? The machines start killing everybody on the earth, which is like, okay, cool, right? I'm into that. And and what I wanted was a movie that was like, the effects are bad and indiscriminate killing, you know, okay, fine, I'm into that. Like that's you know, 80s and 90s horror movie stuff. But then like the fact that it was just like bad writing was just a shocker to me. And that I can't forgive. I don't know. I got halfway through it and I was like, okay, I can't watch this anymore. Yeah, it was probably King's drug face. That's a fair statement. All right. Now you're not able to see what I'm working on here. I apologize for that, but I got to get these areas while I'm at it. Let's see here. Yeah. The lawnmower part, the chick was hanging out the window. Yes. I saw that was great. That kid being chased by the lawnmower. That kid was rocking it. And I haven't finished the movie, but I really hope I don't know, I feel like he's going to make his way to this group of older people that are all at the gas station. And I'm into it. I'm totally into that. And I thought Emilio Estevez was doing a really good job. Like, he was totally believable as, like, this, like, guy who was just working a dead-end job. I mean, he was a parolee, I believe. You know, working a dead-end job, was, like, stuck where he was at, and now gets to kind of take control in some way. I thought that was a pretty cool idea. All right, these chips are working out really well. There's a point where my brush is like right at that sweet spot of just enough paint, you know, enough where it's like picking it up, but not too much where it's not chipping properly. So I'm really like in the flow with this. All right, I need to see everything from this angle. The thing with chipping too is you might have a surface that is flat. Should be able to find a flat surface here. All right, a flat surface, right? And it chips here, and then also chips on the other side. So you got to kind of brush it both this way, as well as brush it this way. All right, so that if I'm painting underneath, and I've got all this, you know, this stuff looking the way I want, then I flip the vehicle over and I can't see it from the top. So if you're into people kind of looking at your model from different angles and you're aware of that, then it's a good idea to kind of catch those different angles. All right, bear with me for a second again. I need to dig in deep here. I'm going in. All right. Almost there. All right, that'll do. All right. Yeah, Matrix. My memory, if my memory serves me, it was the first one that I was really into, and then the other two just felt like they're rehashing the same stuff, which is fine. But yeah. And I think, as I remember, the last one is the one people like the least, which is the same for movies like Godfather and, I think some people would say like Return of the Jedi is their least favorite, although I think that's crazy, but whatever. I like the Ewoks. I don't care what anybody says. All right. Yeah, right, Arnell, so that's the thing, yeah. 35th scale Shvezda T14 Armada, but I want to paint it in the Desert Scheme camo, even though it hasn't been in combat per se. Yeah, I think we have to, you have to kind of do what you want, right? And we can also consider models kind of like, well, here's a what-if scenario, right? Like, it didn't fight in this campaign, but what if it did? I really have no problem with that. Everybody kind of has to figure that out for themselves. How much this is an art and how much this is realism. And not that those are mutually exclusive. But, I don't know. There's got to be a place where we're able to say it's not necessarily accurate, but that's okay. I like cars for that reason. I haven't built any, but I like the idea that you can paint a paint job however you want. I mean, you can rust the whole thing over if you want, and it's realistic. It's great. I think for me, Russian vehicles, I feel like it's okay to get away with just because. For some reason, or for obvious reasons, I suppose, the Cold War, we don't have a lot of reference photos of those vehicles, right? I've got plenty of reference photos for M2 Bradleys and M1 Abrams, but, T80s are a little harder to come by, so. It was not combat at all. Oh, okay. Isn't that interesting? They build something that's too expensive, and they end up not even being able to use it. Wow. Yeah, looking cool is just as valid. All right. I think I'm going to start some oil rendering, even though I was not sure I was going to. But let's get some of those lights fixed up here. I think I'm going to go for it. Oh, I want to talk about another thing too. I'm going to do oil rendering for our typical weathering effects. And also, there's a lot of my photographs. And in fact, this was spoken about on my decal sheet that I got from Bullseye Publications or whatever, Bullseye Model Company. They said, look, for all of the FA-81 air, for the squadron of FA-18s that served from January to February '91, so a Gulf War, which is this is the CAD version of those. They said every single aircraft had different grays, spots all over the vehicle as sort of, this is little repairs or they're touching up the paint in some way. And so I was enthralled by that or intrigued by it because in my references, I'm seeing all these little spots of different, light grays to dark grays, just different kinds of colors. And yeah, they did a lot of touch up on these vehicles. And so I'm really intrigued by that. And I thought, well, I've got a few I knew this ahead of time. I was like, I'm going to have some flaws on this vehicle. Like some things where I'm not super happy, okay. Let me, right here, I'm show you exactly what I'm talking about. You can't see it, but there's a three-dimensional little piece sticking up here, right? And either it was in the paint or the gloss coat or the dull coat. Something got caught in there. I think it's actually near the paint. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, at some point, when it's time to start painting these touch-ups, I'm going to find these little moments on the vehicle where I've messed up, all right? And these little blemishes happen all the time. And so I'm going to sand that sucker down, and I'm going to take either my airbrush or oil paints, and that's going to be a spot where there's a touch-up. Another good example. Right here, there's you see sort of a water spot, some sort of stain, okay? Now that actually looks like it should be on the aircraft, so it's fine. But if I were like really bothered by it, like it doesn't quite look right, then I'm gonna shoot that with, again, the airbrush or oil paints. I've got a blemish here. On one of the vertical, if you want to call these vertical, stabilizers. Right there. Big, nasty blemish. Now, were I building really any other aircraft, it'd be like, oh crap, I gotta paint over that. But I'm leaving it right now because I know that when I start to add those blemishes, that's a spot where I'm gonna hit it. So I'm really happy about that. We always have these little spots where mistakes are there. I'm waiting until I decide to take care of those mistakes, maybe a little hair in the paint or whatever. And then I'm going to dig them out, and that's where I'm going to put that spot. So, yeah, pretty cool to be able to have a solution that makes sense. Yeah, I've got that Trumpeter T80. It's hey there, GB models. Doing good. Working on the Hornet. It's sitting up in my shelf of doom, awaiting to be finished. Actually, I've just got a few more pieces to add, and then it's going to get painted. But I'm kind of in an aircraft/helicopter kick right now, so yeah, we'll see. We'll see. That will be actually a pretty quick completion. So I should just go ahead and get out of the way. Though I did want to make a diorama for it. Not an actual story, but just have it sort of on a street and a dirt road and a tree or two and some fences. So it's going to be a little more involved. I don't know if I'm going to go that crazy with it after all, but we'll see. All right, so let's do a little bit of oil rendering on the back end of this guy. Let's do that. All right. They had a lot of yellow. I'm not sure what it was. It was fuel or whatever, but it was some sort of leak. that occurred on the back of the vehicle. And I'm gonna take a look at some of my photos here. Yeah, this is saltwater. Absolutely right. You got it, Arnell. That's these things took a beating. So I've got the squadron walk around. But let me look at the newer in action book. This is the David Doyle one. It's actually, yeah, it's pretty decent. I mean, it's actually very good, I should say. Yeah. So let me see if I can get this. Thank you, GB Models. Appreciate that. See if I can get this photo in here. All right. Let's see. Right here. All right. We're making it happen. There's some yellow streaks along the back. And again, I'm not quite sure what that liquid is, but pretty common on these things. So I'm going to try to emulate that. I think that will be an effect that I do after. First, I should start with some just sort of general fading and general wear, and then I'll add that yellow stuff. Let's call it yellow stuff for now. All right. So I am looking for a shot underneath the vehicle. Here is one. Okay, cool. Yeah, this shot will work. It's letting me know kind of where the grime, it's letting me know where the grime kind of collects. So, all right, I'm gonna keep that nearby. I think right up here will work. That's not working. All right. Oh, I did want to show you this too. These are the stabilizers in the back, and I think they turned out pretty good. I think the marbling was pretty effective on them. So this is all, sort of pre-actual, I mean, this is weathering, right? But it's in the painting stage, so yeah, it's pretty happy with how it turned out. We'll see how crazy I go. These things should be heavily weathered, and I'm all for it. But there are times, I don't know. There's a balance, right? I don't want to do just weathering just every single thing that I can think of everywhere on the vehicle. Like you notice in these photographs, and there are spots that are like perfectly clean. And I want to find some moments like that. All right. I'm going to start with a dark gray. The gray that I had prepared from before for dry brushing. And I'm just going to kind of kick it around the panel lines. Let's start here. And all right, it's going to be a little too light. I want to get a little more work done. So let's do this. I'm going to take out, I've got some sort of dirty thinner here. And I'm just going to add, okay, let's see. There's another way I can do this. Let me be a little more methodical. I'm going to add some of this thinner to the area I'm going to work in. lot of it's just going to evaporate over time. But if I set it there now, then it keeps the surface sort of it allows the material to kind of sit and float on the model, so I can move it around a little bit more, okay? I've also thinned out the oil just a little bit. There we go. And for now, I'm just going to generally follow the seam lines. Allowing it to, allowing the color to move away from the seam line at points. I don't want a perfectly straight line, right? I want a sense of randomness as well. If they end up being little spots, that's good too. Anybody seen any other movies recently? All right. It's a good kind of starting place. I'm going to pull it towards the seam a little bit more. Okay. Now, I'm going to add a little bit of white to it. And kind of go to the opposite area away from it. Just dropping a little bit here and there. Again, it's a little too symmetrical, right? So I got to be careful. Maybe 3 on one, 2 on the other. Maybe a little bit down the center here. We don't want it to be symmetrical, necessarily. There are things we do want to be symmetrical with, but all right. I'm going to take this dirty brush and just start to kind of scuff. I'm not trying to blend it in a big way yet. All right. Brown is going to look right in this area. It's going to look correct. There are also yellow tones. I talked about the yellow streaks, but just generally around the aircraft, there's some yellow tones as well. Let's focus on these doors, these hatches here. I'll do a little research and try to figure out what that yellow material is, the yellow liquid that leaks from it. And then that will let me know what point it needs to start. I'm not sure if it comes all the way back from the wheel wells or not, or from one of these ports, or points, ports. All right, not bad, not bad. Now I'm gonna take a big softer brush. What I do, by the way, I keep, I have these jars. These are all my sort of nasty brushes. And I have a whole nother jar for the really, really nice ones. And it's important to keep them separate. Trying to find one to blend a little bit here. This may work. Oh, later, Arnell. Have a good one, bud. You watched Independence Day on the 4th of July. Nice. That's a good one. I haven't seen that in a while. I gotta see that movie again. It's a fun one. Definitely a fun one. All right. So now they've got a good grip right now, so I want to kind of loosen it up just a little bit. I'm going to see what I'm doing here. This is my jar of dirty thinner. I'm not trying to pick up any thinner. Just trying to, there's some against the side of the jar, and that's really just enough to, hopefully, enough to kind of get this going. Yeah, there you go, good. This process always takes me a little while to kind of get going and figure out exactly what I want to do. I'm going to do a little streaking with these here. So you're seeing me like literally in the process. In my videos, all this portion would be edited out because I feel like I'm taking too long to get to the point. But this is kind of how it works for me anyway. Takes a little while to kind of figure out exactly where everything's going to kind of go. All right, yeah, I'm going to blend that white pretty good. Okay. I've actually, sometimes I forget exactly the pattern that I do things in, or the storyboard, if you will. We were just talking about storyboards. So sometimes I forget, so I'll actually visit my own videos and be like, oh yeah, okay, that's how I do that. That's the step-by-step. All right. Okay, I'm going to try to get a little bit of this brown off for now. One of the things I try not to do, and I was thinking about this today, early in the oil rendering, I try not to remove a lot if I make a mistake like this. I might just leave it and keep working. And then, because if you keep removing stuff, then you're not really, it's like this is a very additive process. And you just got to keep adding material. You can always remove it if you've done too much. So I'm gonna kind of leave it for now. And I might end up liking it, the brown there. But I can always fix it, All right, let's keep going. I'm going to kind of work on these panels next, doing the same kind of gray. I'm working, let's see, this brush will work best. Oh yeah, let's add a little bit of thinner to it. I'm going to take some off. I think I had a little too much last time. There we go, it'll work. And I just work a spot, at a time. I'm not trying to rush. This is really a fun part of modeling for me. I'm big on construction, love construction. I enjoy painting. And the weathering is like very relaxing and a good time to kind of really think about what you're doing. So I like to take my time with this. I remember with the Typhoon, the Hawker Typhoon I was doing a couple months ago. That might actually be my previous build when I think about it. I did I spent a whole 4-hour session just on one of the top wings, or it was the bottom wing, because I really wanted to start there, and I really took my time with it, and it helped kind of shape and figure out the direction that the rest of the vehicle was going to go in. But I didn't mind spending that much time on it. It's a hobby, and it's supposed to be time consuming, right? Tricky part is when we have other things going on in our lives too. But being a teacher and having summers off, man, I am living the life right now, I have to say. This brush is this feels a little too fuzzy for me. I don't have the quite the right kind of control I'm looking for. So let me use a stronger one. That was not doing either. Let's see. Yeah, I've got this real thin one. It looks like it should be in my good brushes, but you know what? I think it's graduated. All right, I'm gonna keep it dirty brush. All right, that's gonna be much better. I have a lot more control. It's a lot thinner now. So I'm working generally around the panel lines, but you know, if it goes astray, that's fine too. Thumbs up if you enjoy the weathering process. I'm going to try to find best part. Yeah, right on. I'm going to try to find time to do another live stream this week. I'd like to try to find one during the day. The only problem is that it's been a little bit hot in this area. I've been in a heat wave, we would call it. But which makes it a little tricky in here just because I have my air conditioning going in this room. And that gets pretty loud. So we'll see. Weather Service was saying it was going to be cooling off pretty good this week. It has cooled off, but I think it's going to pick back up again tomorrow. So, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as it was last week. All right. All right, so I'm going to start taking the whole thing down now a little bit. It looks pretty aggressive. I'm going to use a much larger brush, and I'm actually going to soak it in thinner and then take a whole bunch of it off. Yikes. See it coming out. Okay. And it's got a little color in it. That's partially from the thinner, partially also from the brush itself. Some of these brushes don't get cleaned perfectly. And that is okay. Oh, I don't want to get on my... All right. I'd like to not get terpenoid on the desk. Thank you. Terpenoid's tricky. I believe it is still toxic. We want to be careful with that. But it's odorless. So you gotta, you know, I've got some windows and doors open nearby, so we're good as far as airing stuff out. But I think it's a little misleading. Right, it's not as pungent, certainly, as turpentine. but we want to be careful with that. All right, good. So I'm going to start kind of kicking some of it off, blending some of it. I don't have to go crazy. Even if it still doesn't quite look right, I've got lots of time to work with it. Okay, I'm just kind of, sorry, I can't see. Yeah, it is getting dirty. Is the best part, huh? Yeah, there we go, good. And it's a matter of taste, you know, as well as reference. I am building a Navy aircraft, so I have to like, I don't know, I typically keep my vehicles a little bit more cleaner. That's terrible wording there. I generally keep my models on the cleaner side. But this is, I've got to like stretch a little bit on these aircraft and not be so concerned, don't be so worried aesthetically about it. All right, that's looking pretty good for now. Let's do this. This will help a lot. Okay. I'm going to go with a splatter effect now, which I really, really like. Splatter technique, anyway. And I want to show you how I like to do this and kind of talk about why I do it. There we go. All right, this brush. This used to be one of my finest brushes. Fine in the sense that it's, you know, it was very thin. Not so much anymore. That's all right. Okay, we're going to go right into this. And this effect helps a lot to change the monotony of the gray. I think, you know, what I'm seeing right now, this is what aesthetically how I'm kind of looking at. So I'm a little bit like, I'm a little bummed out, right? But I know that once I do the splatter effect, it changes everything. So I've got kind of these harsh, darker colors around the lines, and it just looks, maybe it looks appropriate, right? But it still doesn't quite look like the vehicle has been used. And really the issue for me is that all of this is monotone right here, right? So I'm going to try to change up the center of these panels by creating these little spots. And yeah, let's see here. I need some sort of mixing jar. That'll work. All right, this guy. Got some, well, that was white. Not so much anymore with my dirty thinner. That's okay. It doesn't have to be perfectly white anyway. There's, you know, I can, all different types of shades for this one. All right. That's fairly light there. That's good. That'll work. All right, I'm going to add a little more thinner to it. Nice. Okay. Take a toothpick. And we are going to, the brush is loaded up with paint, and I'm just going to flick some of the paint onto the model here. You should be able to see some there. All right, the little splatters. I think I need a little more pigment, a little bit more of the paint. And let's work around here now. Yeah, I'm going to try to finish maximum overdrive. Tank, I'm going to give it another go. I mean, you know, I'm the one who said, okay, well, I want something fun and dirty and on the cheesy side, and so nobody blame but myself. All right. Splatter went a little crazier than I expected. That's all right. We're going to tone it down anyway. So now I'm going to come back to my thinner, have it at the ready. But I'm going to start with a brush. It's hopefully on the cleaner side. Okay. And you can see some of them are starting to evaporate already. And I'm just going to kind of kick them with the brush. I'm just sort of dropping a little bit of thinner on them. Right. Any of these circles that look too circle-y, look too round, there we go, that's what I'm looking for. I'm going to kind of obliterate them, but I want them to be present still. So I'm trying to get them to be misshapen a little bit. And what's interesting is that the camera is picking up some I'm not actually seeing here. That's pretty cool. Yeah. All right. I could leave some if I actually wanted to go for actual splatter look. I can also control the dots themselves if I wanted them to be more numerous or more sporadic, or if I wanted to be smaller circles or larger circles. So even though splatter seems like it goes everywhere, which it certainly does, you do have a bit of control over it. And the only way to get there is to kind of practice with it. You can generally kind of aim it. Okay, this side has got a lot going on here. Now I might just leave, let's see, let me direct it a little bit. I'm going to generally leave this whole section to be a little bit lighter than the rest of it. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. All right. Yeah, I'm noticing on the camera's looking pretty good. It's showing up pretty good there. All right. So now I'm going to go with I can go back to the gray color. I'm actually going to go in the opposite direction. I'm going to go with the black. All right. And I'm going to mix in a little bit of the white with it. I want it to be kind of a dark gray, a little more grimy. All right, here we go. And now I'm going to try to, let's see, there's a couple of things I can do. I can go in places that the other splatter didn't get, or I can go directly onto the splatter. And what's interesting is if you have a white, I'll say a lighter color and then a darker color on top, and you smudge it, not so that you overtake the lighter color, but now you create this drastic contrast between the two. And when I want that contrast between the light and the dark, I kind of keep a sharper edge. I don't want to feather it too much because that's when it starts to blend. If I keep that sharper edge, that contrast is what makes it look grimy, I think. All right, I think the fact that I'm using the white toothpick again is not helping. All right, let's try that again. Still need a little more black. All right. These splatters are a little bit less thin. Nice. I'm also trying to find places, now that I have variation in the tone, there are places where I could add more black. So you see the smudge here? I could have more splatter there. There was a bit of black here, so I'm adding it to this side. So I can sort of exaggerate these areas. All right, I need a brush that I'm going to have a lot of control over. So I'm going to use it to blend. I've added a little bit thinner to this one. I'm not going to use such a broad brush. It's just enough to kind of kick these around a little bit. All right, and as I said, these were less thin, so they're maintaining their shape a little bit. They're maintaining their shape better than if it were a wetter splatter, which is okay. All right, see how those spots? Oh yes, it's working good. So you have to trust the process, right? When you do this a couple of times on a couple of models, you have to go, okay, these are the steps, and I know. Thank you, GB Models, I appreciate that. I know I'm going to get frustrated, or it's not going to look right, right? And then you get to like your third or fourth step, and you're like, okay, this is how I remember this is supposed to go. Now again, I don't want to create symmetry or make it too much of a pattern. So you got a little hair there. That's a place where I might want to touch up. Right? So I don't necessarily want to go, all right, well, this part's smudged, and I'm going to make this part smudged, and this part smudged, so I'm going to make this part smudged. Now I could, and maybe it makes sense with all that's going on back here, right? These smudges happen probably because something mechanical is happening, right? It could be. They could also just, maybe that's where the technician is under the vehicle, and because he works in this area a lot, he puts his hand up here, right? To sort of, right? And so that's what this smudge is about. I'm not going to worry too much about on that level, but I want to be able to think about it in terms of, am I being random or am I being symmetrical? And I like the color too. I think that it's gray, but it's got a very slight brown to it, which I think works really, really well. It's not as brown as these areas, but I think it looks smudgy. All right, now I'm going to really kind of look at what's going on here. I'm seeing a white streak here, some white patches over here. So I'm gonna focus on those areas and exaggerate them to show you what I mean here. I just put paint on a brush without really thinking about how I was going to use the brush. I could do more splatters, or I could actually pinpoint it. And I think pinpoint it is kind of the answer here, because I know specific places that I want to work. All right, so I got a nice little streak here. So I'm going to go along. Make sure you can see. I'm also going to draw all the way back here. All the way back here. Okay, so now again, again, as if I said this earlier. I didn't say it earlier. I've said it in my videos though. I'm creating patterns, these little shapes, and these little shapes help it help you make these moments of contrast. I don't know how else to say that. All right, so now I've got some spots here. I'm gonna exaggerate them a little bit. And then this area. And again, not being symmetrical here, okay? Nice. Now I'm gonna take my blending brush. I might just have enough thinner still in it. And I'm gonna, hang on. I want to use a smaller brush that has a little bit more strength to it, so I can pinpoint those spots. It's a little too much thinner. That's okay though. I'll back off a little bit. There we go. There you go. I like dabbing at them. If you swipe, back and forth, you kind of lose the smudge look to it somehow. It doesn't quite look right. There are times again where it's totally appropriate, right? So on one of these tanks here, I did draw the paint back, and there's a smudge effect. I'm trying to remember exactly where it's at. I think it's right about here. And it looks like something kind of, you know, dragged across it. And so that was appropriate. I'm trying to avoid that effect here, though. I don't know why. It's just an aesthetic thing, I think. All right, good. These spots are good. Now I'm gonna. Now, if I want, I can add more, keep adding more to it, but reduce this a little bit. I don't have to start taking stuff away. I can actually go right back, and I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna do this for you. I'm gonna go right back to the neutral gray color. So the color that the base coat is, and the place where the black and white kind of meet each other. And I can splatter that on. And that helps reduce it while at the same time adding material. Yeah, this is fun. I really enjoy this part. All right, so I'm going to add the white and the gray and the black to get something of a gray here. Let's do it this way, actually. I'm trying to get a little more specific here, so I'm going to blend carefully and try to match as close to the gray as I can. I think this, well, certainly the top gray has a bit of blue in it, so that's something I want to be careful of when I weather that side. Okay, I think that's close. Should be a little lighter yet. Still feels a little dark. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll do another live stream tomorrow in the morning. Anybody around for a live stream tomorrow morning? Let me know what you think. All right, so now I'm going to splatter this on to those areas. Oh, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do it to the brown area. Let's do that. I really want to exaggerate it for you, so I'm going to kind of overdo it. All right, that's good. All right, so now if I want to, I can blend that back in, or I can just leave it. I can leave it with that splattered effect too. Haven't decided yet. Let me let it dry a little bit. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave them. Okay, leave them that kind of wet. Not wet, that kind of drop effect. Right there. Okay. I'm going to get my small controllable brush and kind of work these in just a little bit more. They look a little bit, I don't know, a little too dot-like. All right, that's okay. And what I can also do, if I've got too much hard edge, just in general, I can just also pull down and get everything a little bit softer as well. And if I really needed to, I could also add thinner to this brush, take a lot of it off, and then just, pull it around. And that's a great way to make streaks, by the way, as well. Maltank, how you're working. I hear you, man. I understand. I'm going to add a little thinner to this and kind of pull on this area here and see what I get. Yeah, that's nice. Little streaks, yeah. What do you guys think? I could add a little more there, and you know, let's do that. I'll show you how I do this. Might as well. Oh, another movie I started watching. Andromeda Strain from 1970 something. Robert Weiss directed. Michael Crichton novel. I love Michael Crichton. I grew up reading his books. Cool, Connor. Okay. I'm not sure what time yet. It all depends on kind of the temperature in this room, but I'm definitely building. I'm going to start probably 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock here. Yeah. I'll make some sort of announcement. Although I was also thinking about getting a haircut tomorrow, but I could do that on Thursday. All right. Add a few little smudges here, and then I'm going to drop back. Anyway, Andromeda Strain, yeah, that was 1970s something. A fun movie. I was watching it with my kids. I forget that they're young. I mean, I know they're young, but I forget how young they are sometimes. And so, like, there'll be a scene where, you know, somebody dies or something bad is about to happen, and my kids are like, So I always have to be real careful, even with these movies that I think are tame and, you know, oh, it's from the 1970s, but like, no, it's actually, the material's more dramatic, and they understand it a little bit better, I think, than I realize sometimes. All right. So got some streaks there. Let me pull some of what I got up here as well and do the same. Might as well. Let's see if I can pull it back. I don't know if it will. So I don't know if the paint is necessarily dry, but there's so little of it at this point that it does actually dry pretty quick. But it can be reactivated. If I had, you know, enough thinner on here, the oil paint will come back to life. So again, this is a, you know, slow process. I allow myself a couple of days. And that gives me you know, time to work with. And what's really nice about it is I can come back tomorrow, look at it sort of with fresh eyes, and then, you know, say, wow, I really like it, or wow, I really don't like it. And I'm still able to make some changes. But I always, I think I took too much off there. Yeah, so I think I'm at that point where I need to back off a little bit and just let it be, and then kind of look at it again tomorrow. I say that as I keep going. I can always, even if it dries, I can always repaint, you know, worst case scenario. There are ways out of this, so yeah. All right, cool. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you so much for joining. I will have, yeah, see, when I pull back now, it's like, oh, it's not that dramatic. Good. I will have... I'm putting a full build video together of the M54, the truck that I did. And that should be available. I think it's going to be out before the weekend, maybe even as early as Thursday or something. Yeah. Thanks, Model Tank. I appreciate that, bud. Oh, yeah. If you haven't yet, check out Model Tank Guy's page. Okay. Check out his channel. He's got some really, really great stuff on there. He also live streams, so I want to make sure to get you a little plug there, bud. Does some really, really amazing work. Yeah. All right. Look out for that next video. If you get a chance, please share my channel with others who you think might be interested. The more, the more subscribers we get, the better it helps the channel, and the more kits we can get and build. Okay. Thanks for coming out, guys. Really appreciate it. You have a good night or morning or whatever it is for you, and take it easy.